Participating in our Martyrology service today, every year we are very proud of our young people and the new faces that come up at this moment in the service. These are the young people of our Yahad unit of the religious school. Yahad means the unity group, the older students in our religious school. Benjamin Auslander, 10th grader. Sadie Cohen, 8th grader. Avery Fox, 10th grader. Aiden Goldstein, 10th grader. Maddie Goldstein, 12th grader. Ari Harold, 10th grader. Judah Joseph, 8th grader. Leah Clapper, 9th grader. Bella Maurer, 10th grader. Harris Nachlis, 9th grader. Ruthie Rosenberg, 10th grader. Sam Schwartz Rudovsky, 10th grader. We turn in the Remembrance book to page 3 of the liturgy in the middle of the book. Eile eskera, these I now remember and pour my heart out.
So far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved, their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember. Haim, Haim, Shemarim, La'adam, et Aderech, et Aderech. Haim, Haim, Shemarim, La'adam, et Aderech, et Aderech.
We turn to page 4. They wrapped him in the Torah he loved and lived by, and taught with awe, in defiance of the Romans, craving the teaching as fish crave water. Hananiah was not the first Jew to be bound and burned by the Amalek army, nor would he be the last. That was certain. There were still the priests and princes of Spain, and the Crusaders and Cossacks, and the most mass efficient of all, the Germans to come. But his tortured vision message was the first.
It came to pass in the year 4856, which was the year 1096 according to the calendar of the nations. The first upon whom the enemies came in the courtyard were some of the most devout, among them the great scholar Rabbi Yitzhak ben Moshe. And the blood of men was commingled with that of their wives, of children and babes, and that of their mothers. All were slaughtered upon that day for the sake of the oneness of the awesome name of God. He who hears of this, is not his very soul shaken? 1,100 were sacrificed in one day.
We continue on page 5. It was August 5th, 1942, when the Nazis came for the children in Korczak's charge. It was not clear whether Korczak told the children what they might expect, but his teachers and nurses had the 200 orphans ready when the Nazis raided the orphanage. The Nazis burst in, but the children did not cry out or run and hide. They clung to Korczak, who stood between them and the Germans. Bareheaded, he led the way, holding a child by each hand. They marched to their deaths in exemplary order without a single tear, in such a terrifying silence that it thundered with indictment and defiance.
In the city of Warsaw, such a long time ago, 200 children stand lined row on row, with their freshly washed faces and freshly washed clothes, the children of Poland who never grew old.
With their small Jewish faces and pale, haunted eyes, they march hand in hand down the street. No one cries. No one laughs, no one looks, no one turns, no one talks as they walk down the streets where my grandparents walked. Had my grandparents stayed in that dark, bloody land, my own children too would have marched hand in hand, to the beat of the soldiers, the jackbooted stamp that would measure their lives till they died in those camps.
The cries of my children at night take me back to those pale hollow faces in stark white and black. Only the blood of the children remains. It runs in the street and it runs in our veins.
People call me Jamala. Life is hard to bear. Once I had a mamala, now she is nowhere. Once I had a tatala, and a kind one too. Now I am a shmatala, for I am a Jew. I did have a sister too, now she is no more. Esther, what's become of you in this awful war? Somewhere near a little tree, somewhere on the ground, lies my brother Shloimeh, Nazi shot him down. God who looks down from the skies, down upon the land, hear the little children's cries, killed at every hand.
We continue on page 6. When I was 13, I became bar mitzvah.
When he was 13, he became bar mitzvah.
When I was 13, my teachers taught me to put my tefillin on my arm.
When he was 13, his teachers taught him to throw a hand grenade with his arm.
At my bar mitzvah, I took an oath to live as a Jew.
At his bar mitzvah, he took an oath to die as a Jew.
At my bar mitzvah, they praised my voice, my song, my melody.
At his bar mitzvah, they praised his strength, his courage, his fearlessness.
When I was 13, I was called up to the Torah. I went to the Bema.
When he was 13, his body went up in smoke, his soul rose to God.
When I was 13, I became bar mitzvah and lived.
When he was 13, he became bar mitzvah and now lives within each of us.
We turn to page 7. When I am dead, thus you shall mourn me. There was a man, and see, he is no more. Before his time had come, this man died, and his life song was hushed before it ended. Yet one more song he had within him, and lost forever is that song unsung.
I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart.
We continue on page 8. One day, Hasidim came to inform the great Rebbe Nachman Bratslav of renewed persecutions of Jews in the Ukraine. The master listened and said nothing. Then they told him of pogroms in certain villages. Again, the master listened and said nothing. Then they told of slaughtered families, of desecrated cemeteries, of children burned alive. The master listened and shook his head.
I know, he whispered. I know what you want. I know. You want me to shout with pain, weep in despair. I know, but I will not. You hear me? I will not.
Then after a long silence, he did begin to shout, louder and louder.
Gewalt, Yidden, Jews, for heaven's sake, do not despair. Gewalt, Yidden, Jews, do not despair.
Don't despair, don't weep, oh sad Israel. Soon will end these sorrowful hours. Bear these dreadful times with pride. Your garden yet will bloom with flowers. Your strength will of young, ready to work with fresh song. A song on our lips and faith in our hearts. In storms the believers stay strong. Love is the watchword on our flag. We herald it wherever we be. Lift up your hearts and look straight ahead. This people yet will be free. So don't despair, don't weep, oh sad Israel. Soon will end these sorrowful hours. Bear these dreadful times with pride. Your garden yet will bloom with flowers.
We continue on page 9. Out of the strong sweetness and out of the dead body of the Lion of Judah, the prophecies and the Psalms, out of the slaves of Egypt, out of the wandering tribesmen of the deserts, and the peasants of Palestine, out of the slaves of Babylon and Rome, out of the ghettos of Spain and Portugal, Germany and Poland, the Torah and the prophecies, the Talmud and the sacred studies, the hymns and songs of the Jews, out of the Jewish dead, of Belgium and Holland, of Romania, Hungary and Bulgaria, of France and Italy and Yugoslavia, of Lithuania and Latvia, White Russia and Ukraine, of Czechoslovakia and Austria, Poland and Germany, out of the greatly wronged, a people teaching and doing justice, out of the plundered, a generous people, out of the wounded, a people of physicians, and out of those who met only with hate, a people of love, a compassionate people.
Upon the hills of time, to hear the voices of the city as bells of evening chime. The shofar sounding from the temple to call the world to prayer. The shepherd pauses in the valley and peace is everywhere. Yerushalayim shel Zahav v'shel Nefoshet v'shel Or, halo lecho shirayim ani kinor. Yerushalayim shel Zahav v'shel Nefoshet v'shel Or, halo lecho shirayim ani kinor. How many songs, how many stories the stony hills recall. Around her heart my city carries a lonely ancient wall. And far away beyond the desert, 1,000 suns will glow. We shall be going to the Jordan by way of Jericho. Yerushalayim shel Zahav v'shel Nefoshet v'shel Or, halo lecho shirayim ani kinor. Yerushalayim shel Zahav v'shel Nefoshet v'shel Or, halo lecho shirayim ani kinor.
We continue on the page, or on the bottom of page 9. Let the mount of memory remember in my place. That is its purpose. Let the street named in the name of remember. Let the house of prayer in the name of God remember. Let the rolled up Torah scroll remember. Let the Yizkor prayer remember. Let the multicolored shrouds of history remember, draped with fallen bodies that have turned to dust. Yes, let them all remember, so that I might rest.
We turn to page 10 and conclude this moving service with the Kaddish of Remembrance. We ask you to rise. Together we say, Yehi Shlamar Rabbah Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, U'ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Please be seated. And I'd like to thank these wonderful young people for this very moving service. We have at least 2 generations of Beth-El young people who have participated in this service over the years.